Before we begin our journey tonight, a brief note. This episode of Sleepy Psychology is brought to you by the SAC Center, a leading telehealth clinic specializing in the testing and treatment of autism and ADHD. The SAC Center proudly serves all 50 states, bringing expert care directly to you wherever you are. To learn more about their comprehensive services and how they can help, please visit saccenter.com. Welcome, weary traveler, to a space where the edges of the day soften, and the gentle whispers of psychology guide us toward rest. Tonight, we drift into a fascinating corner of human perception, exploring a concept that subtly shapes our judgments and interactions, often without our conscious awareness. We will speak of the halo effect, a phenomenon first described with clarity by a pioneering figure in the early days of modern psychology. Imagine for a moment the turn of the 20th century. The field of psychology was still in its nascent stages, grappling with the complexities of the human mind, seeking to bring scientific rigor to areas long considered solely within the realm of philosophy. It was during this period in 1920 that an American psychologist named Edward L. Thorndike, a name synonymous with foundational work in educational psychology and the study of learning, began to observe something curious in his research. Thorndike, known for his groundbreaking work on animal intelligence, particularly his experiments with cats in puzzle boxes, and his formulation of the law of effect, which posits that responses followed by satisfaction are more likely to recur, while those followed by discomfort are less likely, was a meticulous observer. He was always seeking to understand the mechanisms underlying behavior and judgment, driven by a deep curiosity about how learning and perception truly functioned. His work often involved careful measurement and quantitative analysis, a hallmark of the emerging scientific approach to psychological inquiry. His particular insight into what he later termed the halo effect emerged from an unexpected source: his observations of military officers. Thorndike was conducting research for the United States Army, specifically tasked with studying how superiors rated their subordinates. This was not merely an academic exercise, it was a practical problem for the military, seeking to improve efficiency and fairness in personnel evaluation. Thorndike meticulously collected data from commanding officers who were asked to rate their soldiers on a variety of traits, such as intelligence, leadership ability, physical appearance, loyalty, and even specific skills like marksmanship or drill performance. As he analyzed these ratings, a consistent and striking pattern emerged. If an officer held a particularly strong positive impression of a subordinate in one specific trait, say their physical appearance or their punctuality, or their general cooperativeness, that positive impression tended to spill over and unduly influence the officer's ratings of other, entirely unrelated traits. For example, a physically attractive soldier might not only be rated highly on their appearance, but also, almost automatically, receive higher ratings for their intelligence, honesty, leadership potential, or even their overall competence in combat situations, even if there was no direct, objective evidence to support these additional positive attributes. The inverse was also true. If a negative trait was observed, that negative impression could cast a wide shadow, creating a horns effect, leading to lower ratings across the board, even in areas where the individual might actually excel. A soldier perceived as lazy, for instance, might also be rated as less intelligent or less trustworthy, irrespective of their true intellectual capacity or integrity. This observation was profoundly significant because it fundamentally challenged the prevailing notion that human judgment was always entirely objective, rational, and based solely on the specific merits of each individual attribute. Thorndike realized that this wasn't merely an occasional, isolated mistake made by a few officers, but rather a predictable, consistent, and systemic error in how humans make judgments about others. It revealed a deeply ingrained cognitive shortcut our brains often employ, a heuristic that simplifies the incredibly complex task of evaluating a multifaceted person by allowing an overarching, often superficial, impression to dictate assessments of specific, unrelated attributes. This simplification reduces the cognitive load required for detailed evaluation, but it invariably comes at the cost of accuracy, leading to biased and often unfair assessments. He formally presented these findings in his seminal 1920 paper titled, A Constant Error in Psychological Ratings, a paper that, though concise, laid the foundational stone for understanding this pervasive and powerful cognitive bias that continues to influence us today. The brilliance of Thorndike's contribution was not just in identifying this phenomenon, but in recognizing its pervasive and systemic nature. He understood that this wasn't just a quirk of military ratings, but a fundamental aspect of human perception that likely permeated all forms of social judgment. He illuminated how a single bright spot of perceived excellence, a halo, could illuminate or even distort our view of the entire individual, much like a single bright light can create an aura around a figure, making their whole form appear brighter. So, how does this study, this quiet observation from over a century ago, continue to resonate with such profound relevance in our modern world? Its impact is truly far-reaching, touching upon virtually every aspect of psychology and profoundly shaping our daily lives, often in ways we don't even consciously realize. In the realm of social psychology, the halo effect is a cornerstone, an essential concept for understanding person perception, intergroup relations, and social influence. It helps explain, for instance, why first impressions are so incredibly powerful and enduring. Once a positive halo is formed, it becomes remarkably difficult to dislodge, and subsequent information is often interpreted through the filter of that initial positive impression. Think about everyday scenarios. Why do physically attractive individuals often receive preferential treatment in various social situations, from job interviews to receiving help from strangers? The halo effect offers a compelling explanation. The positive attributes associated with physical attractiveness, such as perceived health, vitality, or even moral goodness, are unconsciously extended to other, unrelated traits, making them appear more intelligent, more trustworthy, or more capable, simply because of their looks. This isn't a conscious decision, it's a subtle, automatic cognitive leap. Similarly, why does a single overwhelmingly positive or negative experience with a product or service so profoundly color our entire perception of an entire brand or company? If a customer has one exceptional experience with a restaurant, they might then assume all aspects of that restaurant are superior, the ambience, the service, the ingredients, even if other visits might reveal inconsistencies. This is the halo effect in commercial application. In the workplace, the influence of the halo effect is particularly salient and can have significant consequences. Performance reviews, for example, are highly susceptible to this bias. A manager might give an employee consistently high ratings across all categories simply because that employee consistently exceeds expectations in one highly visible area, like sales figures or timely project completion, even if their teamwork, communication skills, or creative problem-solving abilities are less developed. Conversely, an employee who once made a significant, noticeable mistake, perhaps a public error or a failed project, might find that single error casts a long shadow, creating a horns effect that leads to consistently lower ratings in unrelated areas, even if their subsequent work is exemplary. This can have profound and unfair implications for career progression, salary increases, opportunities for training and development, and overall employee morale and perceived fairness within organizations. Recognizing the pervasive nature of the halo effect allows organizations to proactively implement strategies to mitigate its influence. This might include using more standardized, behaviorally anchored rating scales, requiring managers to provide specific, objective behavioral examples to support each rating, encouraging multi-rater feedback from various colleagues, and, crucially, providing extensive training to evaluators to raise their awareness of this and other cognitive biases. In the powerful realm of marketing and advertising, the halo effect is not just a theoretical concept. It's a meticulously engineered tool, often employed with remarkable effectiveness. Consider the ubiquitous phenomenon of celebrity endorsements. When a beloved actor, a highly respected athlete, or a charismatic musician promotes a product, the positive qualities we already associate with that celebrity, their perceived trustworthiness, their immense success, their undeniable charisma, or even their perceived lifestyle, are subtly, almost imperceptibly transferred to the product itself. We might unconsciously assume that a certain brand of athletic shoes endorsed by a world champion runner must inherently be of superior quality or performance enhancing, even though the runner's expertise lies in their sport, not necessarily in footwear design or manufacturing. This is the halo effect in full swing, leveraging pre-existing positive associations to create new, often illogical but powerful ones. Similarly, a brand that has meticulously cultivated a strong reputation for innovation or ethical practices might find that customers automatically assume all its products, even completely new and untested ones, are equally innovative, reliable, or ethically sourced, simply because of the overall positive brand halo surrounding the company. This explains why companies invest so heavily in their brand image, understanding that a strong positive halo can confer an almost irrational advantage across their entire product line. Even in solemn legal settings, the halo effect can exert a disturbing influence, potentially undermining the very principles of justice and fairness. Research in forensic psychology and jury decision-making has repeatedly shown that more physically attractive defendants sometimes receive lighter sentences, or are perceived as more trustworthy, credible, or less likely to be guilty by juries and even judges. This is a truly troubling implication, highlighting how deeply ingrained and subtly pervasive these cognitive biases can be, potentially swaying outcomes in critical life-or-death situations. Recognizing this bias is an absolutely critical first step towards attempting to counteract it, perhaps through explicit instructions to juries to focus solely on evidence, or by increasing rigorous awareness and training among legal professionals regarding the unconscious biases that can impact their judgments. For us, as individuals navigating the incredibly intricate complexities of daily life, understanding the halo effect offers a profound and immensely practical opportunity for self-awareness, critical thinking, and personal growth. It invites us to pause, to take a deliberate breath, before making snap judgments about others, or even about situations and products. When we meet someone new, are we truly, objectively assessing them based on their specific actions, their demonstrated words, and their consistent behaviors? Or are we allowing an initial, often superficial, impression, perhaps their physical appearance, their socioeconomic status as indicated by their clothing, their accent, or their perceived social charm, to color our entire holistic perception of their character, their abilities, and their trustworthiness? Let me give you a personal example of how this might play out in your own life. Imagine you are at a networking event, and you meet someone who is exceptionally articulate, speaks eloquently, and possesses a remarkably confident demeanor. The halo effect would naturally encourage you to make a quick, unconscious leap. They're so well-spoken and confident, they must also be highly intelligent, incredibly competent, exceptionally well-organized, and perhaps even morally upright. Your brain, in its efficiency, fills in the blanks with positive assumptions. However, a conscious awareness of the halo effect, cultivated through understanding concepts like Thorndike's work, would prompt you to take a deliberate step back and engage in a moment of critical self-reflection. You might ask yourself, is their articulation truly a definitive indicator of all these other positive traits? Or is it just one admirable quality that is casting a broad, perhaps unwarranted glow over my entire perception of them? This doesn't mean you become cynical, but rather you become more discerning, more observant, and less prone to automatic, biased assumptions. This principle applies equally, and perhaps even more importantly, to our own self-perception. We, too, can fall prey to the halo effect when judging ourselves, either positively or negatively. Perhaps we excel in one specific, highly valued area of our life, like our professional career, achieving significant success and recognition there. We might then allow that single area of success to create a powerful positive self-halo that blinds us to other areas where we might genuinely need to improve or pay more attention, such as our personal relationships, our physical health, our emotional well-being, or our financial planning. We might think, I'm so successful at work, everything else must be fine. Conversely, and perhaps even more damagingly, A single past failure, a perceived personal flaw, or a difficult period in our lives might cause us to view ourselves overwhelmingly negatively across the board, creating a powerful, self-imposed horns effect. This negative halo can prevent us from recognizing our true, existing strengths, our immense potential, and the many positive aspects of our character, leading to self-doubt, low self-esteem, and missed opportunities for growth. The teachings of Thorndike's humble experiment, born from observing military officers over a century ago, profoundly remind us of the incredible, often underestimated power of first impressions and the subtle, unconscious ways our brains efficiently, yet imperfectly simplify the vast, complex information of the world around us. It teaches us a fundamental truth. Our perceptions are not always perfectly objective, crystal-clear mirrors of reality, but rather they are intricate, subjective constructs, constantly influenced by a myriad of internal and external factors, including our own inherent cognitive biases. So, what can we learn, practically and personally, from this journey into the halo effect? How can we integrate this ancient wisdom into our modern lives to become more discerning, more fair, and more self-aware individuals? Firstly, cultivate conscious awareness. This is the bedrock. When you find yourself forming a strong, overarching opinion about someone, particularly if it's based on very limited initial information, take a deliberate pause. Ask yourself, am I allowing one prominent feature, be it their attractiveness, their charm, their perceived status, or even a single positive or negative action, to unduly influence my entire perception of this person? Can I consciously try to separate their individual traits and evaluate each one on its own merit, rather than lumping them all under a single generalized impression? This mindful approach is a crucial step toward moving beyond superficial judgments and engaging with the world with greater nuance. Secondly, actively seek diverse and disconfirming information. Instead of passively relying on a single data point or a fleeting first impression, actively seek out more varied information about a person, a product, a company, or even a political candidate, before forming a complete and final judgment. If you are evaluating a colleague for a promotion, don't just consider their most recent high-profile success. Look at their consistent performance across different projects, talk to various team members they've collaborated with, and observe their behavior in a range of contexts, including challenging ones. The more varied and comprehensive the information you gather, the harder it is for a single halo or horn to dominate and distort your perception. This active data gathering helps to challenge the automatic shortcuts our brains often take. Thirdly, challenge your own assumptions and biases. This requires a level of intellectual humility and a willingness to question your own immediate thoughts. If you catch yourself thinking, "They're so incredibly charismatic, they must be great at absolutely everything," or "they made one significant mistake, so they must be incompetent across the board," consciously and deliberately challenge these sweeping generalizations. Ask yourself, are these truly logical, evidence-based conclusions, or are they simply products of a cognitive shortcut, a biased pattern of thinking that the halo effect encourages? This kind of rigorous self-interrogation is a remarkably powerful tool for developing more nuanced, more accurate, and ultimately fairer perceptions of others and the world. Fourthly, understand the profound impact of the halo effect on your own self-assessment and self-worth. Be acutely aware that you might be overly critical of yourself based on one perceived flaw or past failure, creating a self-imposed horns effect. Conversely, you might be overly confident or dismissive of the need for self-improvement based on one area of strong success, creating a self-halo. Practice self-compassion and realistic self-appraisal. Recognize that you, like everyone else, are a complex individual, a tapestry woven with a range of strengths and areas for growth. Your identity and worth are not defined by a single halo of success or a single horn of failure. This balanced perspective allows for genuine self-improvement and a more robust sense of self. And finally, practice empathy and intellectual humility. Recognizing the pervasive influence of the halo effect, both in others' judgments and in our own, fosters a deeper, more compassionate understanding of human nature. It encourages us to be more forgiving of perceived flaws in others, knowing that our initial negative judgments might be skewed by a horns effect. It also prompts us to appreciate the incredible complexity and multifaceted nature of individuals, rather than reducing them to simplified, one-dimensional archetypes based on a single outstanding or outstandingly problematic trait. It instills in us a vital intellectual humility about the absolute certainty of our own judgments, reminding us that our perceptions are always to some degree shaped by the lens of our own cognitive architecture. As we bring our exploration of the halo effect to a gentle close, allow these insights to settle deeply within you. This quiet understanding is not about fundamentally changing who you are, but rather about refining the lens through which you view the world and, crucially, yourself. It's about recognizing the subtle yet powerful currents that guide our perceptions, and with that recognition, gaining a greater sense of control, clarity, and fairness in our interactions and judgments. Now, as the echoes of Thorndike's meticulous observations fade into the quiet background of your mind, let us prepare for a deeper stillness. Find yourself in a comfortable position, ideally lying down, allowing your body to release the day's accumulated tensions and worries. Let gravity embrace you, gently pulling you into the soft surface beneath you. Relaxing meditation gently adjust your body until you feel completely supported by the surface beneath you. Notice the full length of your body making contact with the bed or floor. Feel the earth holding you, a soft, unwavering cradle for your weary form. There is nothing left for you to do, nowhere you need to rush, no future to plan, no past to rehash, except to simply be here, in this moment of quiet repose, allowing yourself to fully surrender to the stillness. Begin by bringing your awareness to the anchor of your breath. Feel the gentle, effortless rise and fall of your abdomen with each inhale and exhale. There's absolutely no need to alter your breathing in any way. Just observe its natural, unforced rhythm. A slow, steady flow, like the peaceful ebb and flow of gentle waves softly lapping on a distant, deserted shore under a silver moon. With each deep, calming inhale, imagine a wave of serene calm and fresh, clean energy spreading throughout every cell of your body, starting from your core and radiating outwards. With each slow, deliberate exhale, imagine any remaining tension, any persistent worries, any lingering thoughts from the day gently dissolving. Picture them floating away like wisps of smoke, or like tiny, insignificant clouds drifting lazily across an endless blue sky, becoming smaller and smaller until they vanish from sight. Let's begin a journey through your body, inviting each part, one by one, to relax more and more deeply, releasing its hold on the day. Bring your attention to your feet. Feel them resting on the surface, perhaps slightly turned outwards, completely at ease. Notice any sensations here, perhaps the gentle, reassuring pressure against your heels, the softness of your blankets or the texture of your socks, or the coolness of the air on your bare skin. Allow your feet to soften completely, releasing every tiny muscle, every ligament. Imagine them melting into the ground beneath you, becoming heavy and boneless, completely at ease as if they are no longer yours to carry. Now gently guide your awareness up to your calves and your shins. Feel the muscles here releasing their grip, letting go of any residual tightness or fatigue from walking, standing, or moving through your day. Allow your knees to soften, releasing any stiffness or locked-in tension. Your lower legs are becoming increasingly heavy, deeply relaxed, sinking into the support beneath them. Move your attention slowly, deliberately, up to your thighs. Feel the large, powerful muscles here releasing their held tension, softening from your hips all the way down to your knees. Notice any tightness in your hips, perhaps from sitting or standing for too long, and gently allow them to relax, spreading wide and soft like warm butter into the surface beneath you. Your entire lower body, from your hips to your toes, is now heavy, peaceful, completely at ease, and fully supported, melting into the comforting embrace of the earth. Shift your awareness to your abdomen. Feel the gentle, rhythmic movement of your breath here, a soft expansion and contraction. Allow your belly to be soft, unclenched, completely released. Release any lingering tension, any knots of stress in your core. Imagine a gentle, comforting warmth spreading through your stomach, soothing and comforting every internal organ, bringing a sense of deep tranquility. Now bring your attention to your chest. Feel your ribs gently expanding and softening with each unhurried breath. Release any tightness around your heart, in the front of your chest, in your collarbones, and crucially, in the muscles of your upper back between your shoulder blades. Imagine your chest softening, opening, feeling light and unrestricted, like a vast, open field under a boundless sky. Let your awareness drift to your hands. Feel the weight of them resting by your sides or on your abdomen. Notice the tips of your fingers, your palms, your wrists. Allow your hands to uncurl if they are clenched and soften completely. Your fingers are gently curled or extended, completely at rest, and your hands are resting peacefully, perhaps feeling a gentle warmth or coolness. Move your attention slowly up your arms, through your forearms, your elbows, and your upper arms. Feel the muscles in your arms relaxing deeply, releasing any tension from holding, reaching, or working. Allow your shoulders to drop away from your ears, melting down your back, becoming incredibly heavy and utterly at ease. Your arms are now completely relaxed, heavy, and sinking deeply into the surface beneath you. Bring your attention to your neck and throat. This area often holds a remarkable amount of tension, particularly from daily stresses, communication, or sustained postures. Gently release any tightness in your jaw, allowing your teeth to slightly part, creating a tiny space between your upper and lower teeth. Soften your tongue in your mouth, letting it rest gently on the floor of your mouth. Release all the muscles in your throat, allowing it to feel open and free. Your neck is long and relaxed, your head gently and perfectly supported by your pillow or the ground. Finally, bring your conscious awareness to your face, the mask we present to the world. Soften your forehead, releasing any furrowing or tension between your brows, allowing it to become smooth and serene. Allow your eyelids to be heavy and soft, resting gently over your eyes, as if a comforting weight is pressing them down. Soften your cheeks, your nose, your lips. Allow your facial muscles to completely relax, creating a gentle, peaceful, and utterly tranquil expression upon your face. Feel all the tiny muscles around your eyes releasing their grip. Feel your entire body now, from the tips of your toes to the very crown of your head, completely relaxed, heavy, soft, and at profound peace. You are sinking deeper and deeper into the surface beneath you, feeling safe, secure, and utterly held. You are drifting effortlessly. If any thoughts arise, as they naturally will, simply acknowledge them without judgment, like little bubbles floating past. Do not engage with them, do not try to solve them. Just gently guide your attention back to the sensation of your breath, or the feeling of your body relaxing, melting into the surface. Like a gentle, warm current, let your awareness flow towards deeper and deeper levels of relaxation and surrender. Rest here in this quiet, sacred space, allowing your breath to carry you gently into a profound, restorative, and dream-filled sleep. The wisdom of the halo effect has been absorbed, offering its quiet lessons on perception and awareness. And now it's time for your mind and body to fully rest, rejuvenate, and repair. May your sleep be deep, peaceful, and truly revitalizing. Good night. This episode of Sleepy Psychology was brought to you by the SAC Center, a leading telehealth clinic dedicated to the testing and treatment of autism and ADHD. The SAC Center is committed to providing expert, compassionate care across all 50 states, bringing specialized support directly to you, wherever you are. To explore their comprehensive services and learn how they can help, please visit saccenter.com. May your dreams be serene and your rest be deep. Good night.